You freaking slept, you cheater. Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of like pacing myself. I'm not some kind of hospital worker who is able to keep themselves actually awake for 24 hours straight. No, 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 no. I'm a normal human being who like takes occasional naps, even if they're only like 15 minutes long. See, unlike you, Hanabi, I'm not a masochist or a bottom. Then again, I'm not really anything, top or bottom. So you try next year for 24 hours, and you're gonna do it. Okay, sure thing, Hanabi. I believe you. You can put anything you put your mind to. Yeah. So this part of the stream, we're gonna be talking about the origin of my name. Honestly, not a particularly long story, anything like that. Though there are some long elements to it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So right here is my YouTube channel where I will occasionally post videos. This is where I really first used the handle of Decaf, right? So up until that point, I was fully using my real name as my handle, um, which apparently I'm not supposed to do. So I would fully go to like players online with the my actual name attached to the online handle, and then someone told me, "Hey, you're actually supposed to like cover it up." Yeah, YouTube really became the place where I first have my handle here as Decaf. And looking at it, we go to our about page. Yeah, so that was 14 years ago. Oh, what do you know? It was actually on my birthday as well, April 24th. So yeah, I've been on YouTube here for over a decade. So no 10-year special for me here on YouTube because we're already way past that point. No, not my birthday. Just the date that I joined YouTube. It's close, but today is much closer. Anyway, not like it's a like really huge secret or anything either. Okay, so YouTube here is where we actually like ended up using Decaf. It wasn't Decaf Invidia yet, right? So let's start with that one. Let's start with how did I choose Decaf, and that one is very easy. Like the taste of coffee and sadness, you win. Yeah, you're not wrong, but you're not right either. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this book series called The Animorphs, right? One of the few like uh, collect collections that I started even when I was much younger. So one of the things that I started really trying to complete was the Animorphs book series. So one day my family uh, went shopping in a used bookstore, and we were able to find a box set of the first like five books of Animorphs. Um, and from then on, we would revisit like various bookstores like Fully Booked or the used bookstores to try to find more copies of the Animorphs books. Yes, it is a very good series. At the time, I was under the impression that K.A. Applegate was the only person writing all these books. I was like, wow, K. Applegate is really pumping out all those books over what was a 3 4 year period. Obviously, by the time I had started reading it, the series was long over. But I got to read all of the prefaces, bios, and indexes of K. Applegate in the books themselves, and seeing like what the release date what release date and release order was, where it didn't seem possible for K. Applegate to release this many books so quickly. Turns out, yeah, K. Applegate is in fact someone who uses ghostwriters for a lot of the stories, and nothing against that, because what do you call this? When it comes to these books, the stories that ended up coming out of it were really, really good. Um, people in the community like to call it what do you call this? War crimes for kids, because the characters in this book end up committing various war crimes. I'm going to commit various unforgivable war crimes. I'll be wanted in every country. Mustard? How mustard gas? Yeah, so the book series became like one of my main sources of like uh inspiration growing up for a lot of things. I learned a lot of like words from the Animorph series. And I think of the five of them, my favorite character would have to be Marco, with the second favorite actually being Rachel. Used to be for a while like Tobias, but as I kept thinking about it, I was like, no, no, Rachel is the second favorite character. Marco is the first because Marco just has all the good humor. Right. So, by the point that I had finished, reading all the Animorphs books, and collected the final books, I believe there's only 54 books. How many is it? How many is it? So if you look here, where did they say that like how many books there are? Ah, here we go. 52. 52 plus the two Alternomorphs books, which are like choose your own adventure style books. I was like, okay, so I finished it, and now I crave more, right? So I was like, okay, because in my head I was like, oh yeah, Kay Applegate was able to write all of these books just by herself. Again, not the case. There were like several ghostwriters involved in some of these stories. But that was my thinking, right? So okay, let me look up what else K. A. Applegate has written. And as it turns out, K. Applegate also wrote a series called Remnants. So this book series. And I only ended up reading like the first two or three books. I couldn't find any copy of the other ones. Right. So the Random book series literally is following a post-apocalypse world. Right. Turns out the Earth is completely destroyed. Like I can't remember, it's like meteor or something like that. So they sent out a few handful of survivors out to colonize another world and all that. None of the adults survived the transit for mysterious reasons. Ooh. And only teenagers and children survived, right? And then one of the characters in the Remnants book series uh, is a so supposedly what do you call this? For those handful of people who were chosen to survive, right? In the what do you call this? To start the apocalypse, right? That's 14 books. Yeah, I'm definitely like not covering all of it. There it is. There. So right here in the Wikipedia page, so we have an entry here. This is where I actually got the name of Decaf, right? Of course, it's spelled differently here. So these are all the people who were actually chosen, to actually be on that ship and survive into the future. And then Decaf and his brother weren't supposed to be on the Mayflower, but his older brother Mark was actually able to sneak them both onto the ship, right? That's supposed to escape the planet. And in order to claim a spot, they had to murder someone. So uh, Mark here attacks the engineer of the ship. Um, no, not the engineer, the pilot, right? One of the two pilots of the ship. And then Mark, unfortunately, sustained injuries, so Mark did not survive. Neither did the co-pilot Tamra. So Decaf was given the spot instead. But yeah, the reason why I chose Decaf, um, among all the characters that appeared, right? Um, yeah, there was a chance that my name would have become Jobs or Mo Steel or whatever, or Two Face. But no, no. The specific reason I chose Decaf is because so Decaf's character is described as a super hyperactive kid who tends to like fiddle with things and kind of loses concentration. And then shortly after, it's real. Oh yeah, it's because he has ADHD. And I was like, oh yeah, uh, this fictional character has ADHD. I have ADHD. I was like literally, I was just diagnosed it the same year that I got that I was diagnosed with ADHD. I started reading this book, right? So I was like, oh, someone I can relate to who like has the same like learning disability that I have and struggles with um, retaining information. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use this person's, well, Kay Applegate's character's nickname of Decaf, D dash Calf, and use that for my handle. So I changed YouTube to that, Decaf, and then proceeded to make all of my handles online Decaf. Discord wasn't a thing yet, but I remember making like an email with Decaf and like other handles online. So when I still played Battlestar Galactica online, Guild Wars, and other online games like that, I would use Decaf, right? So yeah, first part of my name, pretty easy. So Decaf here, just coming from stealing it from a book. And any time another Decaf approaches me and is like, hey, I came up with Decaf first, or we're using the same name. Uh, so are you copying me? And I'm like, well, no. Um, I'm pretty sure that we're not the ones who came up with it first. And in fact, yes, I am copying someone, but not you. I'm copying the 2000s paperback young adult series by K.A. Applegate. Um, so if you were alive in that time period and would like to verify, sure. But I'm just gonna let you know that my inspiration is this this book series for the handle of Decaf. There we go. Add it to the lore. Now, as for my second name here, Invidia, right? So the Decaf by itself is already pretty uncommon for a nickname. I was able to get most like handles with just Decaf, but every now and again I'll keep running that problem, right? Of, oh yeah, someone else claimed Decaf first, because the internet is moving fast and words do run out. So I would just keep using like Decaf 235 or Decaf Man or Decaf Mon, like a Digimon of some kind. I did end up using Decaf Mon. Decaf Mon. Never ended up evolving. Um, so I had to figure out like, okay, so what should I use to like differentiate myself from the other decafs, right? And I had already told you guys about this one. So this story, this short story, the Seven Colored Bell series, from the Fragile Dreams, is very much based on the Seven Deadly Sins. And this story, this series of stories always like stuck in my brain. Um, After I ended up playing the game and like collecting all of these like short story snippets as collectibles in that game. So in the back of my head, I was like, very relatable. like messaging and themes of what do we deserve, what are we supposed to be, uh, like earning for ourselves versus the people who are actually talented, right? So when I was in like the early years of my high school, yes, that's it. That's what happened. So to preface this, I am an otaku. I'm a weeb, right? So I like to read. I like to watch anime. I like to read manga, and I like to what do you call this? I also like to read novels, right? Light novels, web novels, what have you. I didn't actually start reading light novels, web novels though until much later. So if we go to Zero's musings and then look up No Game No Life, which is one of my favorite anime titles of all time. So when did No Game No Life come out? No Game No Life came out. The No Game No Life anime came out when? Excuse me. 2012. Okay. Oh wait, no, that's for the novel, so it might have been later than that. 2014. Okay. So yeah, it was a full like 3 or 4 years after I came up with Decaf uh, that I started reading light novels, and then another year or two after that still, before I finally came up with Nvidia, right? So, uh, yes, it's an ecchi. Yeah, that's true. Um, I got into anime because I inherited it from my parents. My parents are also hardcore otaku, though they are, what do you call this? They have their classic anime that they like to go back and rewatch and watch. Uh, but one of the first anime I watched was Card Captor Sakura, as well as Case Closed, and then we owned a bunch of copies of anime on CDs and DVDs. Yep. Uh, copies. Don't look into it. So with no access to the internet most of the time, because I was just like only able to go on the internet if I go to the computer shop and log into YouTube and all that stuff. Um, Most of my time, like absorbing information from the outside world, was from those CDs and DVDs, and the occasional time where my friends would recommend stuff to me, and then we would watch it together on my PSP, right? And all of my friends were like, "Hey, you should watch No Game No Life. Hey, you should watch No Game No Life." And I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'll watch No Game No Life." So yeah, I ended up downloading a bunch of anime based on recommendation to my PSP, and No Game No Life is like right up there with one of my favorite animes of all time, along with Haruhi Suzumiya, Origairu, and other types of anime like that. The point is, right? Uh, no Game No Life has been on hiatus for the past, well, decade. So at some point, um, like much rather long after the anime had ended, like a year or two after, I was looking for more content. And I was like, I got anything. What happens next? So I looked online. Is there any like translations of the novel I can get? I mean, obviously I can't afford to actually buy any of these novels. So are there any fan translations? And then later I would grow up and then end up buying the books. Um, so trying to support wherever you can, right? Try to support the official release and all that. But there were online translations of No Game No Life, and then from there I was able to get into the wider world of novel translations with the Back of Test series, the Magical Index series, um, not Higurashi, Hyoka, as well as all of the Log Horizon novels, right? So Sky the Wood, Zero's Musings, and all the other like novel translation groups. And I started noticing that they were a lot of them like shared people. You would see like the same people commenting or the same people posting and translating these novels. Like a good majority of them were just college students with lots of free time, Um, because college students apparently have the free time to read novels or whatever. Um, and on specifically my anime lists, um, and with Zero's musings, I believe there was a small group of novel enthusiasts, light novel and web novel enthusiasts who read regular fan translations from like Setsuka and other like novel sharing or hosting websites, right? And I was hanging out there in the chat that's built into the group. I think that really was Skype translation or Zero Tuning, one of the two. And then I found out, oh, there's like a Discord that they have. Um, so I joined the Discord, and it turns out, oh wow, everyone's so nice here. The Light Novel Alliance was called. It was called because it's not really running server anymore. So the Light Novel Alliance is kind of my gateway into greater social situations where we would hang out in voice chat and talk about all our favorite novels that are currently being translated, whether fan or official. Uh, all of the spoilery stuff that who are you going to be able to talk with about because the interest is so niche, right? So I joined a Discord server called the Light Novel Alliance where I got to talk to other web novel slash light novel enthusiasts. That's pretty awesome. And there's this thing called Me6 Bot, which assigns you roles based on your level and how often you're chatting, right? And being a emo high schooler with very few friends in real life, and finding some folks who actually shared my interest in uh, more folks rather who shared my interest in uh, books and anime, or just generally was able to hang out. Um, I ended up chatting there a lot, and above a certain level, for the top people who chatted the most, we were able to claim titles, right? So one of the most famous like novels that were being fan translated at the time, and have since become officially released. So please support the official release. Was Slime Tensei, otherwise known as Tensei Slime Shitara Date Ken, or That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime. And slight anime spoilers because they have brought it up already, but this is your spoiler warning for Tensei Slime Stardust again. Um, if you want to like have the reveal of the power system like hidden for you, but basically, you notice that some of the skills in Tensei Slime are based on the seven deadly sins. So the top people who chatted a lot in the Discord server were able to claim these titles, right? And everyone is talking about like, oh, uh, one of our translators is going to claim sloth because they're always slow in translating. They weren't, by the way. They translated a chapter like at least once a week, which is not at all slothful, but whatever. Um, now we had our person who like took pride because they read a lot of novels and they comment a lot, so they take pride in that. Uh, Gluttony, so on and so forth, right? So I was one of the first ones to claim those roles, and though pride was available at the time, I decided to pick envy, right? So you would see something like cowboy, and then the title of pride, for example, right? So something like that. So all of us were able to claim all of the demon lord roles with the seven deadly sins after like more than half a year. I think was the thing with that. So I did not choose pride, and whenever people asked me about it, I was like, oh, it's because like um, well, two reasons. One is the more obvious one that I just mentioned. Right, that's easier to explain if someone else reads the story or knows the story. The seven colored cloud, right? Again, the idea of like someone who uh, can change their personality or mimic other personalities, and like is jealous of other people, so they claim the love for themselves, only to find out that hey, they deserve love in their own way for being themselves. That's a story that I really like connected with. So now this would be a big driving factor of why I chose Lydia. The other reason, and the one that I told most people was like, I'm very envious of people who are actually talented, right? Um, I have a very twisted sense of pride, which is why I didn't actually choose pride for myself. Um, I would say like at the time I knew that I was somewhat talented in music, right? Because I love singing and I do that a lot in the voice chats and stuff like that. But to this day, I'm still not very good with sight reading, and I can barely play an instrument. So whenever I hear like, or whenever I would listen to or sing along with all my friends who could actually play instruments, actually sing music and seamlessly change ranges between baritone and tenor, because I went to an all boys school. I would always feel well extremely envious of them. Um, Home situations like everyone else lives close to the school where I live, two cities away, so that's not great for making friends. Um, and the the general like the cool kids mentality, right? I wish that I could be like the cool kids. So I was a very big ball of insecurities, and I still am a big ball of insecurities growing up. So Nvidia, the idea of someone who like um, might have talents or might have things to offer to the world, but is very much blinded by uh, everyone else's abilities, right? I'm always comparing myself to other people, and that's still something that is true even now. Um, that's why I always claim that I'm a hobby voice actor and singer, because if I were to actually claim a professional voice actor and singer, that would mean I would actually have to acknowledge that I'm putting effort, uh, and that I want to put more effort into those things. Um, so like if I'm not the greatest or if I'm not one of the best, then there's no point in me pursuing that. And that was like a kind of toxic mentality that I had before. Um, but as time went on, it kind of evolved, right? So it wasn't just because it's a cool handle, Decaf Invidia, but also because uh, I did realize that my talents, mediocre as they were still talents, right? Um, Not everyone can sing a song or hold a tune. Not everyone can like read and then enjoy reading books for long periods of time. There are things that are unique to me that I can say I am proud of, right? Voice acting, I'm able to like hear certain tones and I'm able to mimic the kind of intonation and things like that. So Nvidia became less, but still is, less of a title of my insecurity and more of a title of the ability I've gained to mimic myself or pattern myself against other people. Right? And I think that's still true on some level. Because even back then, I was like, what anime do I watch? Okay. What do my parents like? What do my friends like? Etchy? Okay. I guess I'll watch like 50 etchy anime in a 3-year period, just so I can fit in with all the other people. And then realizing that I still can't relate to other people because I'm aromantic asexual. So like every time they talk about big boba or all the sexy characters, I'm like, yeah, they're all physically attractive. So anyway, about the character progression and story growth. So yeah, I always felt like a little bit out of place. So it was never like a point of pride, but a point of um, envy for people who I thought it came naturally to at the time. But yeah, um, that is basically the source of my name, Decaf Invidia. So long after the Light Novels Alliance was no longer an active server, I decided to keep Nvidia as my title. And from then on, anytime I had a handle, I would combine it with Decaf. So Decaf and Nvidia together became my handle moving forward. And Twitch, I only started really using 4 years ago. So, you know, it's under that period where I was able to claim it right away. But yeah, that is the origin of my name. Decaf, I stole from a book for young adults called Remnants because I was looking for more content from Kay Applegate, who had written Animorphs, which is a very, very good series. Um, and then Nvidia, which I claimed as a reward for being super active in chatting and then gaining levels from chatting experience. In a light novel community of people, light novel community of people who like to read, who like anime, who like Japanese produced content, and specifically light novels and web novels. So yeah, from then on, Decaf Nvidia has been and always will be my go-to handle for online stuff, folks. There we go. There you go. That is the story of the origin. A bit long-winded, but in essence, it's really just like what do you call this? It's a story based on just wanting to like carve out a path for myself and claiming things from other places, collecting little bits and pieces to like define yourself, as it were. And that's really how it works, right? You experience lots of things all over the place, and you pick and choose like what you feel is relatable to you until you have a more complete picture of yourself. I stole that too from Neon Genesis Evangelion, Impressionism. So yeah, nothing is original. We're all just different permutations of the same variables. Decaf out. You can ring my bell,